Hi, Dave Roscoe here. It is Friday, October 3rd, 2025, and I'm back after an unexpected 2-day hiatus. I had a couple things that popped up that demanded my immediate attention, and unfortunately, I don't have a lot of free time. Between work and family, the remaining free time that I have is usually dedicated to producing this daily show. And unfortunately, if something unexpected happens, this is really the only thing that can change to free up time. So unfortunately, it resulted in me not being able to provide an update the last couple of days. Now, on a positive note, there hasn't really been much to report. I mean, I'm always looking, and there hasn't been much. What has been reported has already happened, and we'll talk about that. For example, Pi domain auctions. The Pi domain auctions ended on September 30th, and the Pi core team threw us a curveball, and we'll talk about that. There's also some new functionality that's been unrolled with the Protocol 23 update on testnet 1, and we're going to talk about that as well. But first, the metrics. The anti-scammer bot currently stands at 7 wins, 3 losses. I have an unlock that is occurring on October 5th that I'm hoping to win, and perhaps another unlock that's also happening on October 5th. So that's in the process of being verified. So we'll have to see how that goes. The circulating supply is at 8.24 billion Pi, and there were no user accounts to speak of. I think there were like 50 user accounts, which isn't really worth mentioning. And migrations were happening today, but they stopped about 4 hours ago, and they have not resumed. There is currently 15.7 million Pi in the Pi migration wallet. The migrated unlocked rewards are at 3.14 billion Pi, and there were 6 million Pi unlocked in the last 48 hours and now free to be traded on the open markets. Looking at the price action, the Pi coin is currently trading at 26.37 cents, which is down 1% from this time yesterday. The market cap is at $2.17 billion, which is also down 1%. The daily trading volume is at $33.35 million, which is up by 15.44%. And as you can see here, we're continuing our little sawtooth pattern here. You'll see the price being driven down, and then it'll surge up and then make its way down and then pop up again and then make its way down. This is just the market playing their usual games with, buying low, selling high, and that's causing a feedback loop that causes this behavior. But there are limits to how low they're willing to sell for and how high they're willing to buy for. So you see this activity occurring within a band. And if anything changes, that's when you see the breakouts, and then you establish a new pattern. But we seem to be in this pattern now. I will say this. I'm encouraged by the current price. And I know a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy, but Token 2049 happened. A Pi founder spoke on the stage. And unlike every other time that this has happened, most recently with Consensus 2025, it resulted in the Pi coin tanking. And that didn't happen. I mean, yes, we tanked prior to that, but it didn't make it worse. And that's actually encouraging news. It's sad to say, but it actually is encouraging news, because usually, like, whenever the Pi core team opens their mouth, the Pi coin drops in value. So we got to take our wins where we get them. Now, looking at the Pi core team blog posts, we first have the Pi domain auctions. And I'm going to read this to you because it's really important. A lot of people either don't know this blog post is out there, which is why you rely on me, or don't really understand the implications. And I'm going to break it down for you. The Pi Network.Pi domain auction period concluded on September 30th, 2025, marking a milestone for this platform-level utility within the ecosystem. Pioneers can look forward to a structured process to claim the domains that ensures domains are used for genuine purposes, including online applications and commerce, while minimizing the risk of malicious hoarding. So that very opening paragraph should tell you that maybe your plan isn't going to work, depending what your plans were. I mean, hell, I had 2 domains that I bid on, and I doubt I'm going to be able to hold on to them because I'm not planning on creating an app and hosting them on the ecosystem. I don't have time for any of that. But I was just trying to participate. Auction closure timeline. All domain auctions officially ended on September 30th after this date. No new bids will be accepted. However, if a domain receives a bid within the last 24 hours of the auction, the bidding window for that domain will automatically extend for 24 hours. If another bid occurs in the extended window, it will extend for an additional 24 hours and so on, meaning that for highly contested domain names, this could go on for quite a while. Now, I don't see any point in doing that because, as I mentioned, we're going to find out that cyber squatting is not going to work, and you're not going to be able to extort high sums of money for high value domain names. And so there's no reason to continue bidding. And hopefully people are figuring this out. This rolling extension mechanism is as defined in the original auction rules, and it ensures fairness for all pioneers actively participating. At the close of the specific domain auctions, winning pioneers will secure their bids for the domains they pursued. Following the conclusion of the auctions, there will be a data review phase of approximately 2 months. So even if you win, it's not going to be awarded to you for at least 2 months. This step is essential for confirming auction outcomes and preparing for the domain claim process. And this is where the fun begins. After the review period, eligible winners can start claiming their domains. To ensure .pi domains are used for the positive progress of the ecosystem and to prevent unfair hoarding at low costs that inhibit future legitimate projects from having their domains, the claiming process, at least in the initial period, is as follows. Domain winners need to fulfill the following to successfully claim a domain. Connect a Pi app intended for the domain. So right off the bat, you have to have an app that's intended to run on that domain. No app, no domain. The connected Pi app needs to have a threshold of organic usage. More details on reaching this will be provided after the review period concludes. So just having an app isn't even enough. You have to have a certain level of interest and utility or utilization of this app on this domain to keep it. For example, this process for merchants' use cases includes linking their store website URL, connecting the wallet used for transactions, and writing a brief description of how the domain supports utility. Pioneers will have up to 1 year from the commencement of the claiming process to complete the above requirements to claim their domains. This allows time for auction winners who are genuine builders and businesses to complete the requirements and claim their domains. Note that the criteria for eligibility to claim a domain may be loosened or subject to change in the future. This approach ensures domains are connected to and remain available for real applications, merchants, and use cases within the ecosystem. 1 year after the claim feature is released, domains will require renewal. No surprise there. Much like traditional domain registrations outside of Pi. To prevent domain squatting, renewals will also be contingent on the similar criteria above. For example, applications will need to demonstrate real utility and usage, and merchants may be required to meet minimum wallet transaction counts. Now that's interesting. So you couldn't even provide a service for no fee if they did this, right? Let's say, for example, I created an app that provided some statistics on certain Pi blockchain activity. if I gave it away for free, I may not be able to keep it, even though it could be very useful. It could have high utility, but because I'm not charging for it, I might not be able to keep it. So this is interesting. Prioritizing real use cases. The claim process will initially prioritize 3 categories: applications from developers, applications built through Pi App Studio that gain some traction, merchants requiring an online presence. These groups present the most straightforward path to immediate utility. The broader goal is clear: to prevent low-cost, large-scale hoarding of domains so that meaningful use cases and applications can thrive. Well, there you have it. So all of you who were bidding on tens or dozens of domains, hoping to sell them at a profit later, that's not going to happen. And even for people like me, who only bid on 2 domains, I bid on 2 domains because I didn't think anybody would care about the domains that I bid on. And I'm not going to say what they were because they were personal to me. But it looks like I'm not even able to keep those, even though the likelihood that anybody would care or want them is minimal. So in that regard, it's unlike typical Web 2 domains in that I can register any domain I want. And whether I use it or not, they couldn't care less. But the Pi network is putting additional requirements on domains that you've bid on in order to keep them. So it's their prerogative, but it is definitely raining on the parade of people who thought they had a vehicle for making a quick buck. And in another news, the Pi DEX AMM liquidity pools and token creation features are now live on testnet. Now, these are big features, and they are part of the utility from which the community can build upon to engage the community and drive adoption. This is very big news. And the only reason I think that this hasn't had a big impact on the Pi coin price right now is because it's only on testnet. And it's going to be some time before it's rolled out on mainnet. But once it is, this is huge. As Pi founder Dr. Chengyao Fan announced live on stage at Token 2049, Pi Network has just deployed a suite of new features to its blockchain. These features are initially being rolled out only on testnet for testing purposes. After the testing period, they will be accessible on mainnet. Now, again, testnet is running version 23 of the Stellar Consensus Protocol. So the upgrade to version 23 is a prerequisite to rolling out these new features. Decentralized exchange, DEX, and automated market makers, AMM, liquidity pool functionalities are available on the testnet, allowing developers and pioneers to experiment directly with token swaps. That's big. Liquidity pools and other decentralized financial tools. Pi testnet will continue to host TestPi for users to interact with these features. Mainnet restricts this functionality for now, but the interface in the Pi wallet will display these options and link users to the testnet environment. These features are innate on the protocol level of the Pi blockchain and allow the community to build their own DEX and AMM interfaces. Now that statement is important because it's innate on the protocol level, which means that the version of the protocol matters, which is why we have to be on version 23 of the protocol in order to roll these features out. The launch of DEX, AMM, and liquidity pool features on testnet give developers and pioneers a live environment to try out the mechanics of decentralized finance, or DeFi, inside the Pi ecosystem. This environment allows projects to experiment with the features safely on testnet before any mainnet deployment. Now, I don't know if you guys remember Pi DAO Swap, which was or is a DEX that is written for the Pi network. And I'm curious how these new features impact that offering. My guess is that At the very least, they would have to refactor their code to take advantage of these new features and then provide a value added layer on top of it. It'll be interesting to see what that means. And I haven't heard much from Pi.swap lately. Maybe they've given up, and I wouldn't blame them, but this could explain why the Pi network was dragging its feet approving that app. These tools also let pioneers interact hands-on with tokens, educating themselves about DeFi before directly participating on mainnet DeFi using real Pi, including testing swaps, adding or removing liquidity, and observing how decentralized exchange mechanisms work. Because these functions are restricted on the mainnet at this time, all activity will take place on testnet using test Pi and test tokens, which are for testing purposes only and are invalid for use on mainnet or for any other purpose. This setup allows users to experience and refine their approaches to DeFi in the Pi ecosystem and aims to help increase the overall financial literacy of the network before participating on the mainnet DeFi. Now, that's a whole lot of word salad to say that, hey, this is an opportunity for you to learn what this is all about. And I'll tell you right now, it's not going to work. I can tell you right now, I'm going to get flooded with questions about all of this because they won't do anything to explain any of this. And let's be honest, most people don't know how to find out this information for themselves, even in this day and age of AI chat bots and Google and all of that. So I expect I'm going to be busy answering questions about these new features. Token creation. For Pi DEX and AMM to function, token creation is a prerequisite. Developers can now create test tokens on the Pi testnet blockchain, while such functionality is similarly restricted on mainnet during the testing period. Documentation explaining this process will be available in the coming weeks. While test tokens can be created freely on testnet for testing purposes, using test Pi, token creation on mainnet will be subject to further rules to align builders' incentives for utility creation, as Dr. Fan discussed during her keynote speech regarding the crypto industry at Token 2049. These rules are focused on encouraging real-world applications, services, and lasting products within the Pi ecosystem, in addition to having a reasonable token supply and distribution plan. The utility emphasis is especially important in distinguishing these tokens from empty incentive mechanisms such as most meme coins. While meme coins have demonstrated how communities can broadly participate in token ecosystems, they lack underlying utility and thus are unlikely to be sustainable. Pi Network's approach for tokens focuses on attaching utility creation to real use cases at the app or system level, aiming to ensure tokens exist to power functionality rather than speculation. Now, this is going to be an interesting one because they're right. The ability to create tokens, now, the tokens you create will be on the Pi network blockchain. So they are by definition, tokens. And it sounds to me like they're going to decentivize the creation of tokens for the sake of doing it. So like for creating hype or just for gamifying the system. No, they want to put rules in place that ensure that the tokens you create provide some utility. So my guess is that you're going to have to provide some proof or like a white paper or a business model or something like that to say, why this token should be created and how it brings value and utility to the Pi network. So it's interesting. In part, these features support the vision of empowering developers and even non-technical pioneers creating AI-powered apps via Pi App Studio to launch their own tokens for genuine use cases, whether for in-app functionality, community participation, or system-level services. Creators can begin by minting and distributing tokens on testnet, experimenting with liquidity pools, and verifying how tokens integrate with their apps. Other possible examples include DEXs or AMMs built by the community. I mentioned PiDAO Swap earlier, so this is interesting. Although they didn't need these features to develop PiDAO Swap, so my guess is that this would just require, again, refactoring of their code. Pi Network already provides key infrastructure to support this feature. The Pi KYC solution verifies the authenticity of pioneers, ensuring that distribution goes to real people. A global community of tens of millions of verified members gives developers a built-in audience for testing and feedback. Ecosystem products, including Pi Wallet, .pi domains, Pi Ad Network, and the Ecosystem Directory staking feature, support practical token deployment, management, and sustainable business models inside the network. Opening DEX, AMM, and tokens on testnet allows developers to extend Pi Network's capabilities in a structured, utility-focused, and Web3 way. It also on-ramps pioneers into DeFi through a safe, gradual, and educational journey of discovery. Again, that discovery is going to be self-driven or provided by the creators of the apps. So it's not going to be provided by the Pi Core team. Well, that's all I've got for today. This is the old news, at least a few days old, but nothing else is significant. Nothing else of significance has happened. So it's still worth reporting. But if anything breaks, I'll be sure to pop on here and let you know. But until then, don't panic, stay the course, and remember, the success of the Pi Network begins with you. Pi to the moon. Peace.